Okay,
Okay.
I'm having a wonderful chat. I have wonderful chats with everybody that I speak with, but this one is going to be really, really
Nicola.
something, I think, because we have three of four wonderful musicians, and we're going to be three are in front of me, and each pair, you can see the two women on one screen, mother-daughter, and on the other screen, Carlo is with us, but his partner, as in his percussion partner, Koen Wilmaers. I hope I'm close to pronouncing.
Koen Wilmaers, yes.
Koen
Cool, cool.
Wilmaers, thank you. Koen Wilmaers was not able to join us, but we're speaking about by the way, these are pianists, Eliane Rodrigues and Nina Smeets Rodrigues. I hope I pronounced your name
Yeah.
correctly, Nina.
Good,
The
good.
last
Yeah,
name.
it's good.
And then percussionist Carlo Willems, and we are missing Koen Wilmaers. Whew, I'm exhausted already. We're talking about an absolutely, I know I say this maybe too often, but I have not had a bad experience so far in my experience with so many brilliant musicians all over the world and their babies, their CDs. Of course, they're going to be the best they can possibly produce. This one is a beauty. You hit it. You got something more than 110% right. 2019 Novona CD. This is the company that, well, I'm going to put up on performingartsreview.net. It allows you to read the program notes, to buy the CDs. They do a wonderful job. The CD is called the Gershwin and Bernstein Connection. Okay,
Yes,
so
yes.
you go, okay, all right, then, it's been done before. What's the big deal? Okay, here's what the big deal is. I just mentioned these are transcriptions by three. Imagine all four of these musicians who consider themselves conductors, arrangers, composers, everything, and say so on their resumes. That thrilled me to death, and it's so. Transcriptions for two pianos, two percussion of these orchestral works: Rhapsody in Blue, symphonic dances from West Side Story, the Concerto in F, Gershwin, Bernstein, the symphonic dances, and the Rhapsody in Blue of Gershwin. Big orchestral pieces with piano. I think that helps. Two concerti of Gershwin, but huge works, and they have been reduced by you four. I presume you worked in teams, from what I understand from the CD, or somehow. I'm going to ask you about that. To this just absolutely elegant chamber version that is so true to the colors and the moods and the meters of these great pieces. So let me just introduce quickly, and then I'm going to let the conversation go out of my mouth and into others. Pianist Eliane Rodrigues, child prodigy, Brazilian born. I say that in passing because everybody's a child prodigy at this level that we're speaking to. Brazilian born, and as I said, composer, conductor, pianist. No kidding. That's what I hear in these transcriptions. I hear a little composing. There has to be, right? For all of them.
There is
Yeah,
well composing there.
yeah.
Huh?
Performs all over the world. It's put out 25 CDs. It goes on and on and on. Professor of piano at the Royal Conservatoire in Antwerp. Pay attention, everybody, because this whole crowd here are all at the conservatoire. Am I close? You all are in some way involved with the conservatoire in Antwerp. Yes?
Yes,
That's
yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
that's
yes,
true, yeah.
certainly.
So
Yeah.
therefore, all four of these folks have known each other for a long time, and we're going to talk about how that worked, because as an ensemble, it has paid off. Whatever things you sorted out, whatever duels you had in the past, however, mom and daughter, two guys who play percussion to the hilt, all that stuff's gone. This CD is perfection. It really is. So I salute you on it. Pianist Nina Smeets is Eliane's daughter. And it says here, composer pianist. I mean, the nerve of these Belgians, every one of them. It's composer pianist, composer conductor. Crazy. And you are also a graduate of the Conservatoire in Antwerp. Have I got that right?
Yes, that's right. That's right. I also
And
studied at Antwerp Conservatoire.
yes, once
Yes.
upon a time, maybe with your mom too.
I studied with her colleague, but my mother is always close to daughter, so she was always listening and like
So behind the curtains, you know what that
I
is?
I
Behind the
understand.
curtains.
In other words,
Yeah.
you couldn't get away from being taught by your mom,
no,
so to say.
no,
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
that's
Carlo Willems, master percussionist, And by the way, I want to just salute you and your colleague Koen, because the delicacy and beauty of this tuned percussion playing, if I can say so. By the way, you use a kit. There's a drum kit in there somewhere, right, or not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Among all the other, yeah. Go
I
ahead.
heard some records of this West Side Story, for example, um, from the Labex, I think, and I thought that the percussion was not in the balance of the two pianos, and that's why we did it different. We played much softer with brushes and things like that, like jazz musicians, and that's why the balance is so great. You know, with drums you have to watch out for the balance. If it's not okay, you play too loud, and the pianos are the most important, and in that kind of music, and the drums is just accompaniment.
But
Did,
still,
did, every, did everybody
with a
hear
lot
that
of
correctly?
colors.
With
With
a
a
lot.
lot of colors.
With a
But
lot
the
of colors.
color-
You took the words
the
right out of my
colors.
mouth, but did everybody hear that? This percussionist just so we're just there to do the color.
Yeah,
It's
that
very
is true.
dangerous if we
That's-
get out of control, if I may paraphrase somewhat. And that is, you know, I have note after note here. We'll get to them. I hope if we have time. But the point is, that was my takeaway from this beautiful CD of these transcriptions by you as teams, I guess, because what I understand is that the percussionists kind of transcribed their share.
Yeah.
You guys did your piano parts. And then what? You got
Yes.
together, had dinner, drank some wine, and shuffled the whole thing together. Let's talk about that.
Not like this.
It was all music, music.
It was music and music. Let's say they made a work together and we did our work together. But you know, musician, when we are sensitive, once you come in our own instrument, we understand each other. We don't need to have a lot, you know. The working part, the kitchen part, we made parallel. They made together, we did together. And we came just like this, and like this came. Of course, in the rehearsals, we talk about, this is true, it's normal, it's why you have a rehearsal. But the rehearsal is in fact the finishing part that you do when you have already done your work. Let's say we did our work. Let's say we try to make in both piano and not only the accompaniment but also the solo. Let's say I made and she made. There is not a soloist and an accompagnateur. There are two soloists and two accompanying piano.
Got you, brilliantly stated. And what I think I may have already said, but what I'm getting at is my big impression was that the percussion, this glorious tuned color, is delicious, sparing, a little top color to the piano sound. Yes. Exactly yes. Right.
Absolutely.
And also, somehow, I kept saying to myself, you know, orchestra, the Bernstein, the huge orchestral suite, two pianists, two percussionists, and I swear I'm hearing French horn, and so on. So, you know, brilliant reimagining, and with great care. That's my compliment to you, to all four of you, in the absence of Ken. I hope I'm pronouncing his name again properly. So you've known each other in pairs, but and you have already mentioned, Eliane, that this kind of came together, and you've been performing it here, there. It's very popular. It should be. It's a great program, and these are very popular works. And you play them superbly because there clearly is a big jazz thing that you all are very clear about. It's so crucial, and especially percussionists. How did you kind of what did you pass each other in the halls for a while and then finally chit chat? How did you guys kind of get together, percussionists and pianists? Go. Who wants to speak?
Maybe
Nina?
Carlo can say.
Pardon? Yeah, we met in the conservatory, and like Eliane said, we played once because the school asked us to play on a New Year's concert, and it was immediately the right click we had, and then we thought after the concert it was a wonderful success that evening. The audience was rising up and things like that, and then Eliane asked us, why don't we make a a record of these pieces, and then it started like that. And I think every one of us is very flexible. You know, when Eliane says something, oh, I like that, I immediately have it in my mind, and I try to do that. And when we say to her, yeah, maybe we must watch out with the swing that it goes straight on and things like that, she does it like it's not. And Nina also, of course.
Yes, yeah,
So
but this is what I say about musicians. There is something very, very natural inside.
It is also something that grew, because a little pre-secret.
Yeah.
When I was in the last year of the conservatory, they asked, okay, you have to do a concerto for the ending exam. And then there was a list of concerts, and my mother said, now, Nina, which one do you want to play? I said, okay, I want to do Rhapsody in Blue.
Yeah.
And then we started studying this, and we made this together for these examinations. So we prepared this, and we tried this, and we played this in concert, and then bringing but there was missing something. And then when Carlo and Koen came, putting this percussion together, okay, this was a click. It was perfect.
Yeah.
This was just
certain. It's
we're going to speak in a little more detail to specifics in a second, but I wanted to ask Nina about this special project from 2017 to teach toddlers the basic principles of music. Can you tell me a little bit about this project? The reason I'm so curious is this is how we save the world.
Yes, it's true. It is a beautiful project that actually my fiancé, he came with this beautiful idea. He said, I want to donate, I want to give something for children. And then because I was writing music also, then he said, okay, you teach. He went to visit in the class, and he said, there's some things when you teach, you see students come at old age, but many times they have talents, and this is discovered too late. Mm-hmm. And then also there is this the sensibility you give to children when they are coming in contact to music. Just why not combining these two and make a book, because it was actually a book we made, a music method for toddlers. So what we did, we went to the hospital. We gave, so his wish came true. We gave this to the children's hospital. We organized concerts when we put how many toddlers came there?
Yes, many.
200.
Yes.
First spectacle was 200 toddlers, and then I was singing and teaching and playing, and my mother came also, and then was a monkey, and it was a big party, and then all the toddlers got basic of music, so a little introduction and the gift of the book. That's what we did. So everyone came in contact, got this book.
That's absolutely brilliant. Also taking something home with them to share with their parents, for example. Yes. Yeah. And also, as I said, it's not corny. It is very important that we find unique ways to keep young people, especially, interested in some kind of art form, music, art, visual, whatever. Because again, I feel the older I get, the more I realize that art is going to save us. Otherwise, we are doomed. This planet is way too negative.
It's true.
And also, Nina, I just want to speak for a second about it. I'm watching the time because I can't wait to get into this recording. But what you've just given as an example, this project, working with toddlers, teaching toddlers basic principles of music. I asked you a little bit off camera before. This is kind of what I was getting at. You had a terrible life-threatening event when you were 3 years old. You drowned, essentially. Am I okay on this so far? Stop me if I
This is yes.
And you were in a coma for a long time?
Yes, 2 months and a half.
Yes, they discovered me. I was dead drowned, and then reanimated, and I stayed afterwards in coma.
So the miracle is that you survived. The miracle is that the lovely story. I'm going to have to go listen to the 12th piano concerto. I know number 14 very well, but I don't know number 12.
Maybe I should say about, because In fact, she has been down in my home. It was before a kind of lake, not a big lake,
a pond.
just to, with fish, and that was close. And I was not at home. My mother was there. And when I came back, we didn't find her anymore. And I don't know how she did, but she went. She felt inside of this place, but she. Before we found her, yes, took a few minutes because we didn't knew where she was. Yeah. And when my husband and me, we took her out of this. She was like a doll with her tongue until here, blue. You cannot imagine. And then we went with her to the hospital. And then I started already put my hand inside of her throat and making like this reanimation. And at once I see that she do like this. Oh, and then at that moment I saw she was alive. But we went to the hospital, and her heart has been stopped around 5 times. They need to reanimate with injection in her heart and also with electric shock, And then
can I interrupt? Because I blow by blow, I'm going to try and get us away from. But the point is, Nina, that you did survive, but it was a long ordeal, and you were gone to the world for some time in that coma. Yeah. And it's extraordinary what you are doing with your life now, and I just think it needs to be acknowledged. And also this idea of working with kids, and I just keep thinking maybe something distant, some distant memory that connects you with toddlers, people that can easily have the problems that you might have had, that you in fact experienced. Okay, enough. All right. It's so important to this CD that I want to ask you about, and I'm going to try and pronounce it properly, De Singal. Am I correct here? The studio, this gorgeous structure, this building. Is it called De Singal or something like that?
Yeah, De Single.
Single.
De
Single,
yeah. Yeah, De Single. Yeah.
Tell me about it, because the sound on is that where you made the recording?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sound is perfection, just absolute perfection. And I want to give sound engineer Koen Wilmaers, I hope I'm pronouncing properly,
Yes.
Obviously a brilliant and experienced sound engineer, because this is perfect. You play so many passages so softly. It's so dangerous from a recording point of view, I would think, especially percussion. Absolutely brilliant. Tell me a little bit about this beautiful recording hall, can you? Who wants to take that one? How about Carlo? Or who?
Yeah, we all played a lot of concerts in this hall, because it's for us it's a homecoming, because we teach there also. It's a hall next to the conservatory. And this hall is perfect to record when you use only the podium. We did used only the podium, I think, to make the recording, and then you have a natural echo, a natural golem on it, and that's so beautiful that you have to play in balance, because if you don't, you cannot hear the pianos and things like that, and you have to listen to each other. And that's why this recording is so beautiful in balance, because we had to listen to each other. I had to play very soft on the drums, and Koen has also must play very soft on the timpani and things like that. And so listening to each other is the most important thing. But the hall is beautiful also to play concerts. I think Eliane has played many concerts in that hall, and all the students of the conservatory have to play there to do the final exam.
Yeah.
And again, kudos to Cornel, because somebody was in control of those
the
audio on those sounds. And as you said, by the way, let me just finish this thought, which is that you Carlo have mentioned having to play softly all the percussion parts. This does not in any way demean the excitement of the playing. In other words, it was tough to keep everything under control and in balance, as you said, but the balances are so perfect because, as I mentioned maybe earlier, but perhaps off camera, the percussion adding these delicate top colors that kind of just add an extra little luster or gleam to the piano sound. And as Carlo mentioned, I think earlier, it's about the pianos are the orchestra.
But I learned a lot of a drummer who's playing a lot of concerts with Diana Krall, and it's an American drummer, the Jeff Hamilton, and he can play so soft. I saw a clinic of him, and he said to the audience, I don't need mics. You have to listen to me. So it was a great hall, and he played with his brushes so beautiful, and I listened to that maybe 1,000 times, and I said I have to do that because if you want to play in that kind of chamber music like we recorded now, you have to you have to have that technique like Chef Hamilton to do that, and thanks to him I did it, but I never had a lesson from him, only a clinic. So bravo for the American drummers.
Yeah.
I'll pass it on.
Okay.
And again, mother-daughter are a performing duo. Yes, still?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, every time. Yeah.
And do I
Yes.
presume, Carlo, that you are also, and Cornel, no, not Cornel, but to help the man whose name I have a hard
Koen.
that you and
Yeah.
Koen play together, or was this just kind of came?
No.
Do any duo percussion? Yeah.
No, we played together for 30 years.
Okay, that's right. I forgot that detail.
In fact, in the beginning, Koen was a student of me. So
Oh yes, I didn't know it.
yeah, he studied with me in Leuven in Belgium.
Okay. Yeah.
So he doesn't
So
dare make errors.
No.
Yeah.
No, we are no colleagues, of course. You if you are a good teacher, you have to make your students even better than you, and then you are a good teacher.
And by the way,
So-
I had a hard time dealing with mom and daughter because, come on now, give me a confession. Is it have you had your run-ins? Surely. Come on now.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, once in a while.
it's okay. It's okay. I
Time.
mean, sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes. But this is it's also normal.
Of course. I didn't mean to expose anything. I was just saying. I'm thinking a Brazilian mother. Well, now that's got to be a personality.
No, but still, I am very soft. I think very soft and very human. I think yes.
Bravo.
I think yes. A big friend from her. I think.
Well, all I can say is that as a quartet, if you will, as two duos is really essentially what this is. The playing is just superb, and I love the match. You know what I'm trying to say? The match of color, the match of technique. I'm speaking of pianists just now, but it's the same with the two percussionists. The way, and that is beautiful ensemble playing. Sure. And by the way, balancing, that's what I meant a little earlier about a little bit of orchestrating maybe of your own in that. I swear I heard a couple tiny little moments here and there, maybe there were many, many more, where I thought, that's not quite even how I would have heard the transcript, you know what I mean? And I thought, oh, that was clever. Yeah. And by the way, wonderful segues into the other sections. I'm speaking of the West Side Story suite. I thought really beautifully put together. Also, now let's talk about it for a minute. Let's start with West Side, and then we'll get back to how tough, because this is a gigantic, huge, thick, 24-line orchestral suite that's going on like crazy, reduced to two pianos and two percussion. Who wants to tell me first how hard it was? Go. How about Nina? Come on now.
Well, I give. Well, I think everything you have to give it also the time. You make a schedule. You say, okay, I do this slowly, try to finish one part, then I connect another part, and then it grows also. So you have to work in stages. If you take everything immediately and you want to do it at the finish, you have to give it patience and let it grow also. So.
You know, there is a kind of saying, you must put your church in the middle way. You know, the church in the middle way. Let's say, and then we were, first of all, we never met each other, we never played. The percussionist has one idea, the pianist has another. The pianists are a little bit more dreaming, the percussionist wants to make this stuff. Now what we did, we made, put all in one, and let's say we shake all heel, very good, so shaking, and then at once came something in the middle, let's say a very well done,
very well done,
very well done shaking, put like a milkshake, you know, like a milkshake, you put the percussion, the piano inside, and then was the two together, it was okay. At first was Carl, the person said, no, I don't want that. And then afterwards was, could we not make a little bit like that?
See?
Okay, and then little by little, it came what it was.
Thank you for kind of answering what I thought I asked a bit ago about how this all came together. And Nina, you were going to say something? Go.
But I have to say something, but this is totally next to music.
You need to go now.
You need to. My baby is calling me.
Oh, please.
Just it's late, and then I have to go little. It's still small.
Marvelous
I am
chatting
immediately back. But my mother, I see she can.
So
she knows what I know.
Okay, all right, Nina. Great pleasure meeting you. Wonderful. Thanks so much.
Thank you. My
apologies.
Okay, move over a little bit. See, look, it's sliding on her chair. Okay, good. We got the two of you. We can kind of finish this up.
Yeah.
I think what I'm trying to translate what I think I heard you just explain, and what I heard, and what I heard was a unique, which it should be, interpretation. As in many moments, just looking at symphonic dances, for example. In other words, you took. Because you could, in chamber music, even percussionists, you could take delicious liberties, beautiful, elastic liberties. Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that so, I think? And particularly I hear that in the, let me get down to it, the concerto, the piano concerto. We're dealing with Gershwin, the concerto in F. Beautiful, and also the Rhapsody. There are just some beautiful piano solo moments, or solo with orchestra. In this case, usually the two pianos that are where the listener has a unique opportunity to hear at leisure, if you will, these works. You know, because in a big orchestral setting, they kind of go hum pum 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 pum. It's over. Yeah. Okay. Let me see if I can think of anything else. Speak up and help me here. But just dealing with West Side Story for a moment. I really, as I said, the sound capture is absolutely glorious. Somewhere, I couldn't imagine how that tune could have been realized with two pianos and percussion. Gorgeous. The mambo, of course.
The mambo was
it's
also
rhythmic. You know, it's very percussive. So I was not prepared to be surprised. Particularly, it works beautifully. But that segue into the cha-cha. This is all the dream stuff, yeah, from the show. I played the show many times, and I remember the fugue in particular because I played the E-flat clarinet part on about 147 occasions, you know, and it always scared me to death. But what's kind of the overview, if I can ask maybe both of you to speak to it about, again, let's talk just about West Side Story together, you know, a huge orchestral piece that you've reduced to piano to percussion. Go, Carlo.
Yeah, I think Bernstein, when he wrote that, I didn't know Bernstein personally, but I think that he means in his writing, in the percussion, he writes it for five percussionists, and the timpanist. So it's six percussionists, and I think he wanted to write it like a drummer who who plays with both hands and both feet, and when you play it with 6 percussionists, it sounds different. It doesn't sound like it's more forte or double forte and things like that, and it sounds very different. But when you put it together in one person, you have a drum lick, you have a steady beat, you have first of all, in the mambo, you can hear it very, very good, because I play the different parts with the cowbell in my right hand, with the snare drum in my left hand, and with the hi-hat, of course, and then I play also the mambo bass drum in my right foot.
So you were at a kit, right? You were sitting at a kit.
I have a kit. I have a drum kit, and I play I wrote the 4 scores for percussion together for one person, and Koen did the extras, the 2 extras, and he also did then the timpani, the bongos, and but normally it's a piece for 6 percussion players, and we play it all. We didn't take a note of the composing of Bernstein. So we play all the notes, but in a different way. And when you do it with 2 persons, you have, I think, more balance than when you are with a symphonic orchestra and when you have 6 percussionists who playing that. And it's very you have to have a good conductor to do that in balance. But I heard a lot of versions with symphonic orchestra, and the best is from Bernstein, actually, the New York Philharmonic, I think. But the best is from Bernstein, because he knew what he wants. He wanted a drummer and not 6 percussionists. He wants 6 percussionists. Sounds like a drummer.
Because I asked the question to myself as I was listening to the piece: is he at a drum kit? Of course, it's a drum kit. I mean,
it's with a drum.
That changed everything in terms of the flow and ebb and just the excitement and the jazz influence that is so obvious. It was same story for the 2 pianists, for the 2 piano parts, in terms of getting this wonderful blend of orchestra and
Yes, with the piano, what we tried to do, that is not is a little bit different. Of course, with the whole orchestra inside, when you make a real transcription, this becomes a little bit stiff. You must, in fact, listen the end result of the orchestra and transpose this to your instrument. And try to get the same. You understand what I say?
It's complicated, but that's what I heard. I heard an orchestral color coming from 2 pianos. Am I close?
Yes. And this is what I tried to find. There was this color, and when you try to really make note per note the instrument. For example, I make another example. If I make now a transcription from an orgel piece, and I make, for example, a scale, and most of the time of the scales for orgel pieces, they are parallel the same note. But of course, an orgel, they have a lot of resistance. You understand? A piano sounds poor. Then, if you want to have the same result, you must put a C on your left hand or you put a C on your right hand and an E on your left hand, and you make a parallel with different notes, and this gets this kind of the same reaction. And I give just an example. You understand?
Orgel being orgel for those of us in the U.S. being organ.
No, but I think
just wanted to make sure some people go orgel.
I really believe that a good transcription must be this one that will understand the end result. Yeah. The transcription from something must be that you understand what the composer wanted, and with this understanding, you put on the next instrument. You must put this. You understand? You may not make blind such a thing.
Absolutely.
And this is why you feel this.
By the way, you 4 are spokesmen for that exact thing. Am I correct, Carlo? You too also. Well, you two also as percussionists did exactly the same thing, trying to recreate very carefully and with great respect
Yes.
color,
Yeah.
coloration,
Yes.
style, and mood, as opposed to just kind of recklessness. In other words, as I say here, I'm looking now, just because we're going to have to wind this down, I'm looking at the Rhapsody in Blue, and just let me say as an overview what I meant a little earlier I hear in the Rhapsody as well. And the Concerto in F is crazy wonderful. It's so unique and interesting. But this putting one's own, of course, one's own interpretive touch on, but also in the context of these works becoming now chamber music. It just
Yeah.
kind of clears the air. You can hear so much more yummy stuff. But what I say to myself here is perfectly respectful of the work. Never would have expected it. I couldn't believe how respectful of the original sound
Yeah.
you all are, and that's a great work. Yes, please, Carlo.
We had to add some things to the Gershwin Rhapsody in Blue because the percussion part is very poor. The original part of the percussion that Gershwin wrote, and we added some things like things with brushes that he didn't wrote that, but I think he if he should hear it, he should not complain. I hope.
I'm sure or not.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think you would find very, very good because
And
this
speaking
is
of
this.
and speaking of using brushes, I heard throughout the CD those moments using brush, and it was like a sudden, discrete revelation of of chamber music sound. I guess is what it just took me by surprise every time I heard you do a little brush something or other. It was just gorgeous.
Yeah, and you have to be when you play it like that because in the Rhapsody I also play the Glockenspiel together, and you have to be very quick to change all the sticks, and it must be very
Real
quiet.
quick, because sometimes you need to jump to the other side.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Ah,
So and it's when you are just two percussionists, yeah, you have to do more than when you are six, of course.
Eliane, could I ask you to move closer to the camera, please, because I'm having trouble hearing you.
sure.
Yeah, good, thanks.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
And the reason is because this all, and then we're going to wind it up, but this is, and I'm going to remind everybody about this really glorious. See, I can't wait to play this at a party. I hope that doesn't sound too banal, but because it's going to take people's ears by surprise. Everybody recognizes these works, but to hear them in this manner, but is really quite extraordinary. But and I have a big note to myself, and it speaks to your preamble, and I may say that's a preamble. I'm looking at in your program book, your essay, may I say. It is Eliane, isn't it, who writes this this wonderful opening, Beim Paukenschlag. I hope I'm but that you all have turned these works into an entirely new experience for audiences, and that is exactly the point, n'est-ce pas?
Now we have to search for a manager in the States to do 30, 45, 50, maybe 100 concerts.
Okay, I'll see you
If
then.
you have an idea, then
Well, I'll tell you what's
just
going to happen is, please, I'm not taking credit for this, but this will go to a whole lot of college campuses all over the U.S. and Canada and also Germany and so on, and that's where they are. I mean, as I think I said in some, my usual little pitch to people, it's that my point is to introduce you to new sponsoring audiences. I hope. New people that say, let's bring them in for a workshop. Let's
Who
have them
knows?
give a concert. So we'll see. All right. I have been having a great chat with Eliane Rodrigues, pianist, and her daughter Nina Smeets, marvelous, wonderful mother and daughter pair, beautiful musicians. They play in such a beautiful mesh. The colors, the balances, the voicing is all gorgeous. And our one of two, Carlo Willems, and his friend Koen
Koen
Koen.
Wilmaers.
I should have changed it, but and the
Yeah.
other percussionist in this wonderful CD, Koen Wilmaers. We're talking about the 2019 incredible, frankly, Navona CD. I'm going to put all this up at performingartsreview.net, and we'll throw it out to Facebook and all kinds of good stuff. The CD is called The Gershwin and Bernstein Connection. Indeed. Rhapsody in Blue, Symphonic Dances from West Side Story, the Concerto in F, arranged for 2 pianos and 2 percussion. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Many thanks.
Thank you. And when we play live, we also play the Candide overture.
Oh,
Yes, we do.
We start with that.
It's not
It's
still
not
there.
it's not on
Yeah,
the CD,
also-
unfortunately, but we also start with that.
Okay, so
Very
as a young
impressive.
conductor, I've conducted Candide overture because I love it. I love Bernstein's work,
Yeah.
but many times, and it's tricky.
Yeah.
Yes, it's tricky.
It's
but,
tricky.
But
And-
we have done.
And I also want you to know that in my mind, West Side Story is one of the greatest masterpieces of the 20th century.
Yeah, this is true.
It goes
This is
way beyond just being musical theater. It's a powerful, profound, as everybody knows, work of art.
Yeah, sure. And another thing I find also it was very good because, Liszt, he made many transcriptions from all the symphony of Beethoven because he thought that the piano can make this. The piano can. And we can take a orchestral piece, we can make this. We can make understand in a new way a piece of orchestra. And I think is this also, I find such a piece, you can play with 4 persons in some place where you cannot put a whole orchestra, but you can put 4 persons. You can put 2 pianos and you can put percussion. And you can still listen to the piece.
That's right, and you have, as I said earlier, and we'll wind it down with this, you have opened up a whole new audience to these great orchestral pieces without sacrificing in any way the experience.
No.
Thank you, Dan.
Many thanks to you both, and good night. It's late in Europe.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.